Since the dawn of time, man and woman have pondered, when is it the right time to buy a home? Well, maybe not a home. Maybe they were saying cave in the dawn of time, but you get the point. One side of the token are the realtors and lenders saying it's always a good time to buy. The other side, it's the doomers saying you're a complete idiot if you ever think about buying. Meanwhile, you're just here freaking dealing with your landlord's crap and you're just like, I'm sick of this. When is it the right time to buy? Well, here's what I got for you today. I have spent thousands of hours with people throughout my entire career, special group of people that I like to call excellent home buyers. These are people that have prepared, that are on another level. They're like, I'm buying a home with or without you, Javi. You better get on board. So what I've done is I created a checklist of all the things they have in common that I put into a nice little package for you so you can get some guidance when it comes to this idea, if you will. I actually did create something really cool that I'm proud of. I clicked the wrong button, sorry. This is a PDF I made. It's available for free. It's essentially everything that we're going to talk about in today's video. I made it like D&D style. Pretty cool, right? Like Dungeons and Dragons lore books. If you're interested in a free copy, feel free to check it out. No cost or anything. The first common thing that I see with excellent home buyers is they never make any massive purchases without a nest egg. It's pretty simple. We shouldn't be looking at a house or buying a house if there is not some kind of nest egg in place already. I have many times have dealt with a lot of home buyers that are like, hey, I'm looking to buy a house. Hey, that's great. Let's talk about your savings. How much do you have saved? Oh, I have $10,000 saved. Okay, great. That's a good start for your home buying. Is that all you have savings or do you have a separate nest egg? No, I have $10,000. That's all I have. I said, okay, well, if it costs you $12,000, $13,000 to buy a home, what are you going to be left with if you close on your house? Well, I guess nothing. That's where it stops. And the problem is I'm weird. Not every realtor and lender is going to have that conversation with you. They're just going to get you pre-qualified, push you through that door before you have a chance to ask any questions. And now you're in a homeowner and guess what? You have no savings. So you really want to just, take some time to really build a nest egg, okay? There's a lot of trains of thoughts here that you can incorporate or you can, whatever. Really, at the end of the day, I believe having 3 to 6 months and some kind of nest egg of your future living expenses is going to be crucial before you even think about buying a home. What do I mean by that? Well, you might have a minimum now, a survival number, if you will. We're talking your rent, your utilities, your like a freaking Netflix and all those car payments, home insurance, all that crap, right? You probably have a bottom line number now. Well, what you want to do is you get that and you replace the rent with your estimated monthly payment or mortgage payment. Let's say your rent is $1,200 right now. We add some expenses there. We remove that and let's say you're trying to buy a $2,500 house, remove $1,200, add $2,500, and now that number you can do a few things with. You can multiply by 3 to get 3 months. You can multiply by 6 to get 6 months. At the end of the day, I'm not going to give you a template. I want you to come up with something that feels comfortable with you. You might be a freaking high roller that makes a lot of money at once and then slows down a bit. Maybe you should have more months saved. If you have more consistent income and you're like, I'm pretty sure I'm going to reliably make this amount of money and I'm okay with about 2 months of savings, that is your prerogative. Just choose what you like and make sure to stick with it. I really think if you have been saving and you've been saving for a house and you don't have a nest egg, you need to stop what you're doing and diverse those funds, put it in a nest egg, and now you can start saving for a house. And I don't mean you have to have it like in a separate account or anything like that. Just be aware that the money that's in savings right now is there in case of emergency or in case something were to happen to you. Say you get fired from your job, you break your leg, something like that. Trust me, things are great now, but something might happen. So just play it safe, save a few months first. The second thing on the checklist is going to be having a separate housing fund, okay? Excellent home buyers always have a separate fund specifically for their house. They don't commingle the nest egg and the separate housing fund. So here's what I'm saying. Let's say you have a $4,000, $5,000 monthly survival number. You've saved $10,000, so it's 2 months. So you save 2 months of the nest egg, and now you're trying to save for a house. Once again, you don't need to have a separate account. Just have a mental note that as you put money into the savings account, you're like, okay, there's 2 for the house. There's another 2 for the house. You have to get an idea of what the cost of buying a home are. And I have made extensive videos on this, but let me give you a little quick cheat sheet, if you will. You want to start with the purchase price of the house. Hopefully you have an idea of what price you're looking for. From here, the first cost is going to be your down payment. And of course, there's a huge range. 3%, there's 5%, there's 10%, 20% down. At the end of the day, I like thinking that the least amount of down payment, the better, right? But if you are one of those people where they're like, I do not want to pay PMI, then of course 20% would be your goal. Next cost will be your home inspection, which actually has gotten pretty expensive over time. So that's probably closer to $500 to $1,000. Closing costs in general, this is going to be hard to give a specific number on. So I'll say 2% if you live in a low state tax state. So like housing taxes or property taxes are on the cheaper side. If you live in a high property tax state, you might see this closing cost be closer to 3 or even 4% of your purchase price. So make a decision there. And of course, your appraisal is going to be about $700 around there if you are getting a loan. Let's use an example here. I'm going to be using my cash to close calculator, which is available through my home buying resources. Say we're looking at a $400,000 purchase price, 5% down payment, $20,000 is about that 5%. Let's say we already have our emergency fund saved, so we don't have to worry about that. Home inspection will be $600 estimate, additional inspections $300, appraisal around $700, and our low tax insurance, so we're going to be around here-ish, around there. So that total is going to be about $29,600 that I need to save for the house. Please keep in mind that technically you can get the seller to pay your closing costs. Seller's concessions essentially is how you would do it. When you're negotiating a deal, you can ask the seller, hey, can you give us this much of seller's concession, or can you concede this amount of money so we can pay our closing costs? With conventional, the max amount is 3% of the price. FHA, I think you can go as high as 5%. Don't quote me, but it's definitely higher. So we can like nullify this and not have closing costs, and then there it is. But if you're planning on saving, like I would just save for the closing costs. Even if you end up getting it paid, sweet, you just have an extra $8,000 in your bank account, basically. If you wanted to go FHA, technically the closing costs do go a little bit higher with HFA. This is just to give a rough idea. You're thinking about $23,600. So whatever calculator to use, whether it be mine or someone else's, just err on the side of caution and like estimate higher. If there's a calculator telling you $23,600 like mine, aim for 25, just to be 100% safe. There's never too much money being saved, right? It's always nice to have a little bit more on top of that. Hello, this is Corporate Javi. I'm trying to I know I look stupid with this hat on, but I have to do this, okay? I'm sorry. I know no one likes doing this, but I have to, okay? This video is sponsored by homeandmoney.com/Javier. It's a great website where if you're looking for an agent anywhere in the country, you can just go homeandmoney.com/Javier, click I'm selling, I'm buying. You tell me what area you're looking in, what's a single family residence, what zip code, city, and then a great person gets in touch with you to figure out what your needs are and then connect you with an agent anywhere in the country. This is, of course, available to anybody, but if you're in Phoenix, Arizona, and you're thinking about working with me, first step I recommend you do is to check out my YouTube channel, Arizona Javi. Basically this channel, but like for Arizona, right? So, hey, massive growth changes, Goodyear, buy Goodyear house, blah, 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 right? So, and then from here, you can, get my contact information, reach out to me, and get connected. So, appreciate your guys' time. Let's get back to the video. The third thing that I see in common, and that's part of the checklist, is going to be excellent home buyers have a strong desire, not financial, just a strong desire to have ownership of a home, okay? This is probably the most important one, and this is what really makes or breaks a lot of people. I have met a lot of people who are in excellent position to buy, have great savings, have great income, and have great credit, everything. But they're just like, I don't want to take the risk. There's no point to buying a home right now. What if it crashes? What if it just loses all of its value? I don't want to do that. Okay. Here's the difference between those who want to buy, those who watch my videos versus people that are just like looking at houses just to look at houses. I just spoke with a wonderful family today. They interviewed me, so I don't know if they're going to work with me, but they have a great story where their freaking landlord told them that they're going to get evicted on the 31st, like on New Year's Eve. Just, hey, by the way, eviction notice, you need to be out in 2 months. So all their planning and all their like whatever they had in mind for their life that month, just like that. Hey, plans change. Sorry. How, I get it, it's business, but how dehumanizing is it to be able to just take someone's home from them just at a moment's notice, right? That's that freaking anger, that passion you feel when you hear a story like that is what I'm looking for. There needs to be a strong why. Let me give you some examples. I've met people, Brian, I think at the top of my head, their parents just had multiple houses and always said, you need to buy a house as soon as you're ready. He bought. And he was like, I'm just doing it because it's like, this is part of my DNA. I've got to get a house. Second one might be due to bad experience I had on my previous rental where my landlord, what they moving out, issues with repairs or whatever. I never want to have a landlord again. I want to own my own home. Think about what is a landlord like. To have a landlord, what is it, feudal? It's like a feudal thing to have this person is the lord of my land. Please give him tithings every month. And the third thing could be, hey, I want to own a home, a community that I want my kids to be raised in, and I want a strong bond in where they live, and or maybe I'm going to buy my forever home where they're going to come and bring their kids one day. I don't know. I need you to come up with your own why, right? I need you to really come up with that, and it needs to be strong enough to the point where, like, let's say you're talking with a housing market crash chat, and they're like, "Yeah, bro, you're stupid. Have you seen markets are going to crash? This is." You're just like, I get that, but this is why I want to own a home. And that's just something that can't really be given to you. That's just something that you kind of just get, right? And that's really what wakes me up out of bed every day, because I've struggled with this. So like, what am I making videos for? People just want to, obviously the housing market crash people have like hundreds of thousands of views, and they're so popular and they get so much, freaking traction. And I'm like, why am I making? No, I'm not making videos for people that are interested in the market crash. I'm making videos so people that are going to buy because they really have a strong desire to don't get taken advantage of, right? So I need you to get in tune with that. And most people that are excellent home buyers freaking are trailblazers, and they're like, this is why I'm buying a home. Item number 4 in this checklist, and yes, I'm wearing something different. Yes, this may be another day. Don't worry about the details, right? Just follow along. Do you have a healthy relationship with money? Here's the common thing I see with most excellent home buyers. Credit cards, 0 to low balances. Money is not only saved, but there's also money being invested. They have a clear accounting and budget for what goes into their bank account, what goes out of their bank account. Now, I'm not asking you to go create spreadsheet upon spreadsheet about every single penny that goes in and out of your bank account, but what I'm asking you to do is have an idea. Right? I'm not asking you to be completely debt-free with 0 credit card balances. I'm asking you to be in control of what your credit card balances look like. If you have super high credit card balances and you just feel like this freaking $400, $800 monthly payments are just drowning you in debt, take a step back. Yes, you may have the savings, the emergency fund. Yes, you have some housing fund going on. And yes, you may have a strong why, but that credit card debt isn't going anywhere once you buy a house. If anything, things are only going to get tighter when you actually own a home. What if your AC breaks down? What if there's some roof repairing having to be done? I need you to be in a position where you're in control of your money, not that your money has control over you. Now, I went over some things here while I was chatting, but here's just some common things that I've learned from people. The best way of how they handle their credit cards is they carry low balances and they pay it off every month, right? If there's one credit card that just got away from them, they are actively making extra payments to work towards it. They're not considering buying a home until they are in control. And what under control means may change for you. For you, it might be under 50% of your total balance, under 25% of your balance. I don't care what number you come up with, just at least have it be under 50. I think I want to say at least have it under 50%, but also be aware of what you're working actively. Like if you're still working towards paying off debt and you really want to buy a house, well, ask yourself, if I'm able to save up like 5 to 10K, 10, 15K in 6 months to save for a house, can I just use some of that to pay off some debt? I don't want you buying a house and just completely still have tons of debt. Okay, see what I'm saying? So this is a little bit not so tangible. This is more or less something you need to do, just a quick check-in with you. One personal thing I can share is my situation didn't really change until I was able to really look inside and ask myself, what is my relationship with money? And in order to ask that, I had to ask myself, what did I see growing up? How was money talked about in my family growing up? And for me, money was always a sense of like pressure and tension, and like, my dad coming in freaking complaining about how there's not enough money to pay bills. And, you know, me and my brothers and sisters, like, you know, how we're going to live in this house. Like, it was always such a negative thing. So for me, when I get money, I just pay it, get out of here. Like, I don't save it, right? That was an issue I had. So I'm not asking you to go and take some ayahuasca and go freaking in the mountains and discover your relationship with money. I'm asking you to do a little deep dive, just a little bit, into what's your relationship with money, what's your current relationship, and what's maybe the relationship you're trying to get to, and are you ready to buy with that relationship you currently have, or do you need to adjust some things in the next few months to get there? Last thing I have in your checklist that excellent home buyers have is, yes, they do evaluate market conditions and they make sure that the rent and mortgage, essentially the area, makes sense. What do I mean by make sense? Well, you look at the house you're looking for, right? You find it as a rental. You find it as not necessarily the same house, but the same type of house. Let's say the rent for that house is, I don't know, $2,200. Okay. And if you run the numbers on it and the mortgage amount on the house looks like $2,000, it makes sense to buy because technically the mortgage is cheaper than the rent. Now, it's always not that easy, but that's just an example that they do. Hey, boom. That's simple. Now, there's some other situations, like what if the rent is actually the same as the mortgage? Like you rent a house and that what you're looking for is about $2,400, and to be a homeowner is $2,400 as well. Well, in that case, it's a strong oof, but all right, I'm still interested and I'm still looking to buy a home. Now, this is where a lot of home buyers kind of just stop their journey and they kind of even stop and wait. What if the rent is much less than the actual home price? So like you're renting, you know, $1,500, $1,600 for a house in that same area, then the monthly payment ends up being $2,400 if you actually buy it, then it makes sense to just rent. Now, of course, it's never that easy. I know, like in California, if you want to own a home, the mortgage is going to be like well in the thousands, right? 4,000 or 5,000, I believe, just because things are so expensive. Where to rent a house, it's like much less. So that's why a lot of people never become homeowners in California, because it just makes more sense to rent. And in that case, you have to evaluate what your situation is. Do you stay in that area? Do you just kind of suck it up and maybe hope a situation comes up that falls in your lap? Or do you move into a different area where it actually makes sense to actually buy a home? I have seen many people who still want to move forward, even though the rent is way cheaper, because of that number 3, right? That strong why is just so powerful that it's leading them forward. Hey guys, as I was editing that video, I really wasn't happy how I explained this part. So let me just do a little better job giving an example and giving you guys some variables to consider as well. So let's just say I'm looking in Goodyear. Okay, I'm looking on Zillow. I'm looking at houses for rent between, let's do 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom plus. Let's do like a square footage of like, I don't know, 1,750 to 2,000. And we kind of get a good range of what's going on here. 2,195, 2,175, 2,150. So this seems to be kind of the general vibe, 2,150-ish. Let's settle on this one. Here's one I found. Same exact area of Goodyear, on the market currently for $374,990. So it's currently for rent for $2,150. Okay. And if we look at the estimated payment here, it says $2,216, but never just trust these. You want to do your own research here. I pulled up this Win the House You Love calculator, which is for sale by my friend Kyle. Links in the description, but you can use any calculator really. 5% down, 6.5% rate, $100 MEI, inputted the taxes. Let's put change the price at $370. Was it $395? Sorry, $375. Yeah, so $375. We go down and we look at the monthly payment. The monthly payment's about $26.36. So in this case, to rent a home that you're looking for, it's $2,100 a month. If you want to own a home like that with only 5% down, it costs about $2,600. The only way to drop this number is if prices drop or you buy the house cheaper, so down. If rates drop or you buy the rate down, or you put more of a down payment. I just realized my fingers weren't moving as I was adjusting. So down payment needs to be higher. That's the only way that monthly payment will adjust or change. So this is where we talk about something I call the comfort threshold. Your comfort threshold, or your CT. I don't know if this is like something I made up, or I'm pretty sure it's not. I'm sure this is an idea that's been out there, but how I describe it, I had to write it down. It's your personal limit on how much extra you're willing to pay for the benefits of owning a home compared to renting. It's like asking yourself, how much is home ownership really worth to me each month? So this right here is a difference of about well, let's say $500 around there. So that's $500. Okay. If your comfort threshold is, let's say, $300. So let's say your comfort threshold is $400. Okay. So is keeping $400 in your bank account every month more important to you than the benefits or you accomplishing the goal of owning your own home? Yes, there's a potential building equity. Yes, all that. I don't really like bringing that up because that's not a guarantee, but there's a potential of that. If it is more comfortable for you to just keep this in your bank account, then rent. It's a no-brainer. You need to rent, right? So in this case, this is $500 more, and you have put a value of $400, your comfort threshold. So this is more than that. So then it doesn't make sense to go for it. But if your comfort threshold is higher, let's say it's $800, is keeping $800 in your bank every month more important than the benefits of owning a home? If the answer is yes, well, in this case, it's $500. So then using this logic, it makes sense to go ahead and purchase a house. Now, I know this isn't perfect. There's I'm sure you can find a lot of fallacies here, but to me, as someone who has not only, helped people buy, but I bought many homes myself, this is just what always makes sense to me. Like, there's that comfort threshold, and what does that look like? Does this adjust? And I think this CT, if we're like making a formula, I think it's really based off your safety and security, right? How much, like the first four we talked about, how much of a nest egg do you have? How much of housing savings do you have? How much your stability in your life and your job right now? So there's a lot of things to really consider here. But if you figure out your comfort threshold, and it makes logical sense how and when is the right time to buy market wise. We're not looking at the market as a whole or overall faith in our country in terms of housing. We're looking specifically on our own personal situation in the cities we're looking in and seeing if that makes sense for us. Let's get back to the video now. And these 5 things, ladies and gentlemen, makes up the checklist. Now, it's not that like black or white. We're like, yeah, everything's a yes. I got to go buy a house right now. No, but if everything is looking somewhat like a yes, and it's like, what's the hang up here? Listen, at the end of the day, you're either a renter or you're an owner. And I hope that, everybody has to be a renter sometimes. Sometimes there's a time in your life or decisions that you made or the area you chose to live that's like, hey, I can't own a home. I got to rent. I get it. But at the end of the day, I believe everyone should strive for home ownership. I don't think our landlords should be corporate business entities that are for profit, that want to use our living spaces as a way for them to fund their income and fund their family's wealth. I think you should own that home. And yes, it sucks that you have to pay that interest rate. And yes, it sucks that the prices are higher. And yes, all the above. It's just, yes, I get it. But work towards home ownership. Work towards owning your own home that you are in charge of.